joining me for another training here. This is a pretty important one. This is a big deal for client service representatives for CSRs. This is handling client complaints or concerns. So there's an included chart for this training that I'm going to include for reference to go over. And basically, what's important here is that you follow the process step by step. So the first step in this process is basically you're going to get some sort of client or concern or a client complaint or concern from the client. And this is normal. This is part of your job. You're going to have difficult clients sometimes. Hopefully not all the time or even ever if you're super duper lucky. But you will get complaints from clients from time to time. Or you will get a concern from a client from time to time. And usually a complaint from a client or a concern is really just them telling us that there's something wrong where we're not producing the results that they want. And it's our job to figure out how to get there to make them happy, right? Or there's been a miscommunication and they don't understand things properly and there just needs to be some clarification, which actually is, I would say, a lot of complaints and concerns are simply just clarification. It's just simply communication. And once that happens, there really isn't even a problem to solve sometimes. It's just a matter of clarifying things. So that's why going through this process is very important, understanding it. So like when you run into this and you might even, this is another chart. I have another flow chart for this for you. Is the flow charts for your client success service to reference is just pull this up and look at it and just start following the process. So, the first part is you get the complaint from the client. So this might be in an email, it might be on a phone call, or it might be like on a Zoom session. Whatever the case is, you need to lay out each point of a complaint, okay? So if the client comes to you and makes a complaint, you need to apologize to them if things seem frustrating. Like, hey, sorry if this seems frustrating. Apologies if this is difficult. Don't apologize for something happening. Apologize for their feelings. So you want to apologize that they feel bad. You want to say, hey, I'm sorry that this is frustrating. I apologize that this is difficult for you. Or I apologize that this seems stressful. You want to right away point out the fact that you feel bad that they feel bad by apologizing for their negative emotions. Say, hey, I'm really sorry that you feel bad about this. I want to make it right. And so what I'm going to do, it sounds like this is the problem. And you're going to quickly transition into a summary of the points of the concern you hear from the client or the complaint, letting them know you want to make sure you heard them correctly. Okay? Ask them if you got everything right and confirm you fully understand the issue at hand. Sometimes people get upset or make complaints, and when you actually lay out the nature of their complaint to them, it settles them down because then they realize you understand what they're saying. So an example of that might be like, oh, okay, so just to understand properly, you're upset because you haven't received your key performance indicator report for 2 weeks and you want to know what's going on. Is that right? And they might say, yeah, absolutely, or something. Or, because sometimes also people don't communicate very well. Maybe they'll say, no, that's wrong. I have been getting it. I just don't understand it. You say, oh, okay. Would you like to go over it now? They say, yeah. And then you can actually just handle it right then. Okay. And it's not your fault for misunderstanding them sometimes. Sometimes they're just bad at communicating. Clients can be bad at communicating. So every time you get a complaint or a concern, make sure you're taking notes. Like when they're telling you what they're concerned about, either in the email or if it's on a Zoom or something, like maybe just jot it down on a notepad nearby real quick. Very good professional client service people or customer service people are always ready to take notes. If you've ever been in like a 5-star hotel or a really high-end restaurant where there's white glove service with very professional people with a very keen eye for an attention to detail, you'll notice that really good people take notes. Notepad comes right out. Well, okay, what was that you were saying? Let me write that down. okay, this is what my notes say. And you even say it too. You might even be like, hey, okay, this is what I wrote down for my notes on your complaint, or your concern. It's nice to say concern sometimes. I wouldn't say complaint ever really to a client. Okay, your concerns sound like you haven't gotten your report in 2 weeks and you need to understand your key performance indicators better. Is that right? And then they might come back to you. So take full responsibility of the situation. Once you've clarified the problem with the client, you've reiterated it to them, you're on the same page, you have to understand the problem as it exists. Don't try to move into these steps need to be done sequentially, or you will end up with a very unhappy client who will think that you aren't understanding them because you're not taking time to understand them. You have to go through these steps one at a time sequentially. Okay, so the first step is get a picture of the problem. Make sure you address that they're feeling. If they're feeling stressed, frustrated, angry, apologize for that negative feeling. Don't apologize for doing anything wrong, okay? Because you don't know if we've done anything wrong or you've done anything wrong, and you don't want to look bad. You don't want our company to look bad because that's going to degrade the client's trust in us, okay? You're apologizing for their negative feeling. You feel bad about it. You want to make them feel better for sure, no matter what. Next thing, the second step is to take full responsibility for the situation. And this is where a lot of professionals don't understand how to move forward, or they fumble the ball with complaints and concerns, is you have to make sure once you establish with the client or the customer what the problem is, that you say, okay, well, I just want you to know I am the person now that is going to help you with this. Like, I am very confident that I can help you with this problem. Okay, I'm going to help you with this. You can actually do it almost in one statement in many cases. Glad that we're on the same page with that problem. I want you to understand I'm going to help you with this. Or I want you to understand we're on the same team. I want you to understand that I'm going to resolve this for you. Okay? Or I want you to understand I'm going to find a path to the solution here, and we're going to work on this. So don't tell the client you need to meet with anyone specifically or something is not your job. Just simply refer to the team. You can say, you know, I'm going to go back to the team in general and try to get like a plan together and some solutions if that's the case. If you can solve their problem right then solve the problem. Then say, hey, I can take full responsibility for this, and then this is what we're going to do right now, right? Okay, but if it's a more complex situation, you're not going to tell them, hey, I'm totally going to be able to help you with this, but I have to go back and talk to the media buyer, really. Don't say it like that. They need to understand that you have a whole team behind you. And you say, hey, no worries, I'm totally going to help you resolve this. I just need to go back, meet with the team, maybe do some research, and get back with you in the next, 2 hours, or the next, tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Something like that. You need to give a timeline. So that's the third step. You're going to lay out a plan, and you're going to lay out a timeline. Let the client know what the next steps are and how long it will take. This may be a plan to fix certain things specifically. Maybe there's technical steps that you understand are going to happen, and you can lay that out right away. And you can say, hey, I'm going to take steps. Remember, don't go into the process. Explain the resolution. I'm going to take some steps to make sure your report is delivered on time. That's what they care about. I'm going to take some steps to make sure that your report's delivered on time. And that, that might take me about 24 hours or so. I'll send you a test and then confirm with you that you're getting it in your email. Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Sound good? And let the client know when they're going to hear back from you. When there's a problem in process, a concern or a complaint, you should be following up with the client every 24 hours at least, with some kind of update, getting back to them. Okay, so lay out the plan and the timeline. Even if the plan is to make a plan, right? The plan might be, hey, I'm going to meet with the team and get back to you with more details this afternoon. Okay. Then you need to research a solution. So the next step is follow our troubleshooting flow. You might have to go back to the troubleshooting flow that you've been trained on in initial team training and start working through that. Do some research. Talk to the team. Use Google. Use ChatGPT. Maybe send a help message to a software company if you need to. There are so many resources at our disposal to help clients that you have to try to work through these things with the team and you have to try to work through them in a way where you get to a resolution, right? And it's to a point where, bringing your team leader or someone else into the situation is, it should be like lower on the totem pole. You should be able to handle client complaints and concerns as a CSR very effectively after taking my trainings, okay? So is the next step after researching the solution is implementation. Ensure that the solutions are applied and then test and verify the solution applied. If other team members are involved, communication with them is required to verify that they're getting the work done and also reaching the solution. They may be doing technical work or helping, but problem solving, it's like solving the client's problem is still your responsibility fully. And you cannot go back to the client and try to blame team members or say that, the media buyer's taking a while to figure this out. Our creative team is still working on stuff. You just need to go back to them and simply say, hey, it looks like approximately we're looking at another 4 days. Team's working on things for you. The team's working on it for you, okay? And then proof of implementation, okay? So actual implementation, then proof of implementation. Ensure that you document and verify your solution for testing and provide this to the client via email. Sending emails to the client with proof of work done or a solution for a problem they're complaining about, very important, because sometimes our clients work in teams too. And so there's more than one person involved. And just because you're telling one person a problem is solved doesn't mean another person on their team knows it, and they may think that there's still an issue. And you might have to furnish proof, or another person in our company might have to furnish proof to that person that we resolved it. Always document resolution, okay? Take a screenshot, print out an email, or you save an email PDF as a PDF, save it in the ClickUp task, make sure you email the client proof of implementation, all right, for resolution. And then the last step is that you need to confirm that this is a satisfactory resolution with the client. Just because you provided the solution doesn't mean it's game over. You actually have to follow up with the client. I recommend calling them on Google Voice. I recommend making a call to them on our virtual office line because it's very direct, it's very quick, and saying, hey, just wanted to let you know we got that resolved. I went ahead and sent you an email confirming everything. Is there anything else? Is this satisfactory? Like, is there anything else, other problems or anything you can think of right now or anything with this that I should be working on for you? You have to confirm with the client that the complaint or the concern is resolved. If you just resolve it, but you don't get with the client and confirm everything, you're not completing the process. They're not going to be fully satisfied. But you need to go ahead and get back with them, confirm everything is resolved. I recommend a phone call because it's very direct, it's very prompt, it takes very little time, and it shows a high attention to detail with the client. If they don't answer, leave a voicemail, send a text message, okay? You're already sending an email as part of that workflow of showing, of your communication workflow, showing proof that it's done. That's why the next step is to follow up with a phone call and a text message, but I would do it in a very short window of time. I wouldn't wait a day between each of those communications. I would send them immediately with client concerns. And there will be situations where you may have a more dire situation where the client is like very upset. It's a very bad problem. You need to act very decisively. You may need to get with the media buyer immediately, get on a Zoom call with them or something. And then you may need to call the client right away because they're so upset. They sent you like a very upset email. And sometimes the best way to handle that is just like call them and say, hey, can we get on a Zoom call maybe and start talking to the client right away on a Zoom call. Or, you just responding quickly. So depending on the nature of the complaint or the concern, definitely adjust your level of communication, speed of communication to prioritize these things. Like you may have some clients that are way higher priority because they're much more upset that you need to help and deal with. So make sure that you reference the flow for handling complaints and concerns with clients here. Go through this process, and if you get a complaint or a concern from a client, they raise concerns with you or a complaint, first thing you should do is reference this chart. Just save it, put it somewhere where you can just look at it as a client success representative. You should be a master at handling complaints and concerns. You should be a master at troubleshooting problems and working within the team. And you should be a master at communication. These are the things that are very important as a client success representative. And so I want you to be very keen on this workflow. All right, thanks.